This is the virtual open house for our Masters of Social Work program. And again, thank you everyone for coming. So many people came early, which is great. Um, Awesome. So we're going to meet the faculty today, kind of go over the outlook of the master's program, go over kind of different programs, and then, we'll go over the admissions requirement, which will be my end. And then we'll go over some questions at the end. As a reminder, again, one last reminder, you can use the chat or the question and answer function for those questions. And again, how to participate, questions, chat instructions, and meet the faculty. So we have Dr. King. Um, I don't know if Jean is in.
So,
Um,
so Professor Booth is the Director of Practicum
Question.
Education. She's not with us this evening,
Okay.
but Melissa Hensley is the Assistant Director of Practicum Education, and she'll introduce herself. But again, I am Dr. King. I am the MSW Online Program Director, as well as an Assistant Professor here in the Department of Social Work. I primarily teach the first course that you take, so Social Work 600, the Foundations of Social Work and Social Welfare. And then I also teach clinical courses within the children, youth, and family specialization. And then Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Hensley. I'm one of three assistant directors in the Practicum Education office. And so we work closely with students in coordinating and setting up their placements. And then the three assistant directors also teach one of the seminar courses that go along with the practicum. So it's great to be here, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions related to the practicum this evening.
Thank you.
All right, so this next slide just, really quickly talks about the profession of social work, as well as the mission and outlook. And as social workers, we get our values and the mission of our profession from our national organization, the National Association of Social Workers. And as social workers, our primary responsibility or mission is to help meet the needs of all people, those that may have been vulnerable or oppressed or living in poverty. We also have a dual focus of not just focusing on the individual, but also focusing on the well-being and meeting the needs of society as a whole. As you can see from some of the statistics, that social work is one of the largest or fastest growing professions right now. And that is also due to the shortage in mental health professionals. So licensed clinical social workers also serve as mental health professionals. And so we are meeting that need here at George Mason's Department of Social Work and our MSW program. So what makes our program unique? What makes our program worth you coming to and applying to is that we're accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which is the accrediting body for all schools of social work. And we have demonstrated that we meet the criteria of a rigorous academic program to maintain that accreditation. Our faculty, researchers are recognized globally and nationally with the work that they do in areas from interpersonal violence to immigration, to meeting the mental health needs of youth and families. Our online program was ranked in the top 10 for best MSW online programs in 2003 by Forbes Advisor. And our MSW program prepares you to apply for licensure within the state of Virginia. This next slide just features a little bit about our curriculum and the focus of our curriculum. So as you can see, for those of you that maybe don't have a BSW and are not applying for advanced standing, which advanced standing just means that you have a bachelor's of social work from an accredited university and you're going to apply for advanced standing in the MSW program. For those of you that don't meet that criteria and you are coming in as a generalist student, what that just means is that you're being prepared with the basic knowledge of the social work profession. So your generalist courses, as outlined here, would be courses like 600, Foundations of Social Work and Social Welfare, 623, which isn't listed, that's Human Behavior, 644 is Community Practice Across the Life course, 656 is Poverty, Oppression, and Inequity. And this is just a snapshot of some of the courses. All of the courses in the program are not listed on this slide. And then an example of some electives that you could take would be 677, Family Therapy, as well as 682, Substance Abuse Interventions. Your practicum, as Professor Hensley is going to talk about a little bit later, is covered under your generalist practicum 672 and 673, and that encompasses seminar courses. And then once you finish your generalist courses, you'll move into your specialization courses. And for students coming in under advanced standing, you're going to start the program in your specialization courses. And so we have two specializations within our MSW program. One is children, youth, and families, and the other is adults and healthy aging. With the children, youth, and family specialization, it is preparing you to meet those very unique and specific needs of children and youth as they navigate the family life cycle. And while you're providing those services to children and youth, of course, you will be engaging with their families as well. Much of the work or some of the coursework connected to the children, youth, and family specialization encompasses also child welfare and providing services within that arena. And then the other specialization is adults and healthy aging, and this will prepare students to work with adults, older adults, as they age and experience those, very unique issues or challenges that may come with aging. One thing that I like to tell students is that because our families are multi-generational and many youth and adults are living in multi-generational families with older adults as well, that sometimes even though you may have a certain specialization that you want to declare or a certain population you want to work with, to remain open to obtaining information about that other population, to have a more broad and well-rounded experience as a social worker. And one thing that I forgot to point out on the last slide is that now that we are a College of Public Health, so our Department of Social Work sits within the College of Public Health at George Mason University. Now that we're a part of the College of Public Health, all incoming students have to take GCH 500, which is the Foundations of Public Health, and that is a requirement for all students across all of our programs within the college. So our MSW online program is primarily asynchronous. And what that means is that you will engage in your courses and your coursework on your own time. So you don't have to log in to a course on a certain day or certain time. And we say primarily asynchronous because there are some synchronous components, such as with your practicum seminar, which Professor Hensley will talk about. Your practicum seminar will have a synchronous component with those courses where you're going to log into Zoom at a certain time for those synchronous class sessions. And your practicums are going to be done in person. So you will report to whatever agency that you are going to be doing your practicum at in person. Additionally, some instructors will hold optional synchronous class sessions via Zoom as a way to further connect with students and build that community within the classroom. And faculty will also offer virtual office hours to students as a way to, be able to meet to talk about your own individual needs within a course. All right, and I believe this is Professor Hensley.
Thank you, Dr. King. I'm sorry, it took me a second to get off mute. So I'll talk a little bit about the Practicum Education program. We first wanted to mention that the Department of Social Work is proud to announce that we've changed our name for the student internship program, which was formerly the field education program, is now known as the Practicum Education program. So you may see the term field or internship you may see different terminology that may seem interchangeable, but we definitely are now the practicum education program. And really that's to elevate the experiential learning focus of the internship. You're not basically learning a skill set. There is a classroom component. It is connected to the MSW program and the degree itself. And so it is a very robust experience. And so we wanted to make sure that that comes across. There's comprehensive supervision of skill development. Practicums are deliberate, structured, intentional, and interactive learning experiences. Professional practice post-graduation. So you may see field, we are still continuing to make sure that everything is transitioned over to practicum education. I believe our email may still say field. So just wanted to let you know it is in process, and we'll soon, everything will be transitioned over to practicum education. So the practicum education program, practicum education is the signature pedagogy of social work education. It's the pivotal transformative experience and progressing from social work student to social work professional, and giving you the opportunity to really get out there, work in the agency setting, work with clients, work with colleagues, and really develop your skill set as a professional. Take everything that you're learning from the classroom, the textbook, all the theories and frameworks, and apply that to practice. And so you are supervised by a social worker within the community. You will be evaluated on criteria by which students demonstrate the 9 social work competencies. And that's a big part of our program. You will see that all throughout the coursework, the practicum, the program as a whole. Everything is based on the 9 social work competencies. And so we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to really practice each one of those competencies, both at the generalist year level and then also with the specialization year level, which is going to be a little more advanced. The practicum education program is comprehensive. So you'll have the classroom experience, like we mentioned, with the seminar. So there will be assignments that you'll be doing. You will receive a grade and course credit for the practicum. Obviously, you'll have practice experience. You'll be working in an agency setting. Most of those opportunities will be in person. Occasionally, there will be an agency that provides remote or a hybrid format, but it really depends on how agencies are delivering services for clients. Again, you'll have those assignments, which will be guided through. You'll have clinical supervision, so you'll be supervised by a social worker within the agency. You'll also be evaluated, and then this will really give you a chance to work within the community, use this opportunity to explore different areas of social work. As Dr. King mentioned, be open to population. It's very difficult to be exclusive to work with one particular population, whether it's children, youth, and families, or adults in healthy aging. A lot of families are intergenerational, and so there's a lot of overlap, and we definitely want to make sure that you get a well-rounded experience that'll prepare you for social work practice. On the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about the hours and the requirements. So if you are starting the program in the generalist year, your practicum is going to be 16 hours per week. It is 2 full semesters. So you'll do a total of 450 hours. If you were to start your practicum in the fall, you would do fall and spring. And so between August and May, you would accumulate 450 hours. Of those hours, 1 hour per week will be supervision with your social work supervisor. Again, you'll have to demonstrate all 9 competencies in practice. And then the generalist year is going to be more of a foundation level year, generalist tasks and interaction with individuals, families, groups, organizations, communities. So it's not all heavily clinical. It's not all community level work. It's a mixture. So you'll be working with multiple levels, and then you'll also have the opportunity to infuse some of the macro level social work. So you'll be doing policy practice and evaluating policy, advocacy work. And so it's definitely a range of experiences. So then after you complete your generalist year, you'll go into your specialization year, which again is going to be 2 consecutive semesters. That's going to be 20 hours a week. So altogether, it's going to be 600 hours for both semesters. Same thing with supervision. Minimum is 1 hour per week. Again, all 9 competencies must be demonstrated. And so again, micro, meso, and macro, meaning individuals, groups, families, organizations, and communities, as well as that policy level work. The specialization year is a little more advanced. So about 75% of your time will be spent in direct service, whereas your generalist year is about 50% direct service and then 50% more of the advocacy, policy, administrative level work. Again, placements must provide opportunities for specialization and advanced clinical practice. If you are coming into the advanced standing program, you would start your specialization year. You would not do the generalist year. And again, I mentioned a little bit that there are some remote hours. Most agencies are going to be providing services during normal business hours. So we try to talk about this and kind of plant the seed to think through what your obligations are, your schedule, your time commitments, because it is a heavy lift, but it is definitely well worth it. But it is a big commitment. And so we also want to make sure that you are able to build in some availability so that you can be present for department meetings, community meetings, opportunities to really engage and collaborate with your agency colleagues to give you that full experience. We want to make sure that these are meaningful hours, not just checking a box or clocking hours. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to truly engage with clients and at all levels. And so a lot of times that's going to be during normal business hours. But again, we understand social work is 24/7, and we recognize that there may be some opportunities at places that operate 24/7, but those opportunities are not as many of those available. So I just want to make sure that we know that up front. Next slide. So again, we work with students individually to coordinate the practicum. So wherever the student resides, that's where we'll work with you on identifying and coordinating a placement. We have hundreds of agencies, many of which are, all over the country, West Coast to East Coast, North and South, and we've got quite a few states covered, I think, already. And then again, we do have some of those remote options. We have traditional placements, and so that's generally when a student does not already have a relationship with the agency. So it would just be strictly the student will be there for the practicum only. And then we do have the opportunity for an employment-based practicum. So if you are currently employed in a social services agency or a location that would be able to support you as a social work student, we may be able to connect with them. And as long as it's approved, and there's an application process that we would walk you through, but we do have some students completing their practicum on site at their place of employment. One of the questions that we often get is, what agencies do we partner with? And it really depends on where social workers are in the community. And so we're not limited to schools, hospitals, DSS, although we have lots of those opportunities. It's really wherever social workers are in practice. And I think that's, really important to you as a student to understand that social work is adapting to the community's needs. So that's going to be continuously evolving. And so there's a lot of opportunity. So I would definitely encourage you to look around your area and see where social workers are practicing, what opportunities are available, and what agencies are, hiring social workers, not for employment, but just, to give you an idea of where social workers are needed right now.
And I
And I'd be glad
know,
to answer any questions that.
yeah, I know a frequent question I get too is if the employment-based practicums, if they are unpaid or if they are paid as well.
Sure. Yeah, right now our practicum hours can overlap with employment hours, but again, everything is connected to those 9 social work competencies. So it has to be approved through the department. We have to make sure that all of those opportunities can be provided and that the agency will support you in being a student. We also want to make sure that you have the opportunity to be a student because it is designed to be a learning experience. And so we want to make sure that you're getting new experiences and maybe branching out from your current role but it's a process. But yes, you can overlap hours with your employment, but it does have to be approved.
Thanks.
Do we want to do questions now or?
Yeah, I think so. For someone's asking for the EBP, could they do it with the department they're already in, or would it have to be with a different department? I know you mentioned different responsibilities.
It can be in the same department. But again, we just need to make sure that you can meet all 9 of those competencies. And we really do encourage students to diversify their experiences, work with, if you can work in another department for maybe a portion of the hours, or, say you're facilitating groups in your current department, maybe see if you can facilitate groups in another department or program, or with another population. So we just want to make sure that being new perspectives and are able to truly apply that MSW lens.
Someone said, can you do
You
EBP for
do
both practicums, generalist and specialized, or just for the one?
You could do both. Again, there is a process for coordinating the placement, and we do that every single year because things can change sometimes. Supervisors come and go, agencies have funding that comes and goes. And so we want to make sure that when we coordinate the practicum, we're doing that within the same planning cycle. And so we'll work with you on that, but it is a possibility for sure. We just need to make sure that you have those learning opportunities available.
I skipped one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
So
Dr. King.
the next question that came through was asking if the letter of recommendation is just a survey to fill out. So
Oh,
I have seen both. I have seen the recommender complete and it's not a survey, it's a series of questions that they complete, and they have also submitted a letter of recommendation. One thing that I will suggest as one of the reviewers for the applications is to make sure that whoever writes your letter of recommendation, that it is a professional letter of recommendation and that they can speak to your academic ability and your ability to be successful in the program. The other question is, does picking one specialization limit the ability to work with the opposite? It does not. Primarily have worked with children as a social worker, but I also now provide therapy to adults. So it doesn't limit it. You will have opportunities to expand on that knowledge. With the declaring the specialization, it really is a university requirement. So, that is something that you will have to do. But I, will tell students to take electives that cross both populations, so you will have an opportunity to expand on that coursework. I think we can go to the next slide. So the next slide just really talks about some of the places where you could practice as a social worker. And this list is not exhaustive. Social workers impact so many parts of our society that it's very difficult to highlight or to list every single place where social workers work or every single role that a social worker fulfills. But listed here are just a few that we have come across or that we're highlighting today. Definitely, child protection, foster care and adoption, family services. We do have a lot of faculty um, as part of our department who really engage in research connected to aging and gerontology. So just a variety of places where social workers can provide services. This next slide just really features the difference between social work and other disciplines that are similar, like psychology or marriage and family counselors or sociologists. And one of the things with social work that really sets us apart is one, that holistic approach that we take in providing services to clients. So we look at clients within their environment. We look at, how the client is interacting with other systems. And our focus on social justice is another area that separates us or distinguishes us from other helping professions. But this just provides you with a snapshot of the difference between social work and some other professions. Sometimes when students are coming in and they're applying to the social work program, they sometimes have questions about other degrees and what makes social work different. So this provides that information for you. So within our department, we have two stipend programs that are funding opportunities for students to apply to. One is the Child Welfare Stipend Program. And students, whether generalist or specialization, can apply to the Child Welfare Stipend Program. It comes with a $10,000 stipend per academic year. So that's $5,000 during fall semester, $5,000 during spring semester. There is a work requirement once you finish and graduate. You do have to work for a Virginia Department of Social Services. I believe it's for 1 to 2 years upon graduation. And Professor Cornejo, Kathy Cornejo is the coordinator for the Child Welfare Stipend Program, and they really do work with students on, finding employment, on ensuring that, you are prepared to work in the welfare arena. The behavioral health CAP BH program is another stipend program that we have for students, but this stipend program is only eligible or available for students who are in their specialization year. This also comes with a $10,000 stipend for students, and this program is specifically to address um, the shortage in the behavioral health workforce. And so students in this stipend program receive specialized training to be able to address those behavioral health needs. And there is information on the website on applying for both of the stipend programs. This next slide just features some testimonials from some of our students in the MSW program. And as you can see here, our students are coming from diverse backgrounds, and they each have had their own unique experiences with George Mason, and have gone on to do great things in the profession of social work. And as you can see here, that they were all satisfied with the education that they received from George Mason.
Alrighty. So in the beginning, I mentioned my name is Casey. I'm an admissions advisor on behalf of George Mason University. So I work with students for the admissions process. And I know we touched a little bit on those recommendations. What we do look for applicants on the application is a bachelor's degree. We do like to see a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. If you do happen to have under a 3.0 GPA, you can discuss that with your advisor regarding the essay that you can write. We do ask for your resume as well. Those two recommendations, as mentioned, should be professionals. I believe one has to be a supervisor is required. Regarding the questionnaire, it is about 10 questions. Should really only take about 10-15 minutes from your recommendation. They do have an option on that questionnaire to attach a letter. Again, the letter is optional. They can do both. And then they can also just attach it to the questionnaire just to make it easier on both you and your recommendation. And then the last thing would be a personal statement essay. We can provide the prompt for you. There is a word count, but the personal statement essay is really just providing kind of your career goals, experience, and putting it all together for the master's program. We do have prerequisite courses as well. Those prerequisite courses are statistics. If you don't have statistics, we do have a course that can satisfy that for students. We do require an English composition course. That's usually one of the basic undergrad English courses that you take. A government course or a history course. Usually this kind of government or history course needs to be like a US government or an American history type of course. So not like no music history, nothing like that. And again, above it Government 101 you can take on study.com if you don't have a government course. And then a social science course. So for students that you may have a bachelor's in psychology, that would fall under like a psychology course would fall under social science, a philosophy course, kind of those kind of courses. Usually you can do a little Google search if you don't think that you may not have one or not. But we do have an upcoming term, which is spring. And our start date for that is January 13th. So you can reach out to an advisor like myself, and we'll help you with the application process and help you with your materials. Alrighty. And this is where you can apply as well. You can reach out to this contact information. I will provide my contact as well. But any other questions?
One thing that I did want to just make sure that I highlighted first, for anyone considering applying is to one, we have classes or courses in all semesters, fall, spring, and summer, and we admit students in all three semesters, fall, spring, and summer. For the online program, as we talked, the courses are primarily asynchronous, but the courses, with the exception of your practicum seminar, the courses are 8 weeks in length. And the 8 weeks do go by very quickly. And our semesters are divided into two 8 week sessions. So for the traditional part-time, you will take two courses in the semester. So one course in session one course in session two. We do have options for accelerated on a more full-time scale. So you really want to make sure that you know what kind of student you are and to recognize, if you are able to handle that kind of rigorous workload in a short amount of time, and if you're able to handle it being asynchronous and not having that traditional in-person lecture that you would get from an on-campus course. So I do like to make that distinction for students. As far as the application deadlines, for spring semester, the deadline is December 1st. And for fall semester, the deadline is, excuse me, and then for summer semester, the deadline will be April 15th. And then for fall semester, the deadline is August 1st.
And then for advanced standing, it's July 1st
Yes, so for advanced standing for fall semesters,
for
July
fall.
1st. And that's because we do have a panel interview for advanced standing. If you're applying just for traditional admission, not advanced standing, there isn't a panel interview. It's just you completing all the requirements of the application. But for advanced standing, when you apply, you're actually applying to be interviewed because the interview is a component of being accepted for advanced standing. So with the website, you want to also make sure, because there are dates listed for our on-campus modality as well. So I know that those that manage the website are working to make sure that it distinguishes online deadlines versus on campus. So again, if you're applying for spring semester, the application deadline is December 1st. And if you are thinking about summer, that deadline is April 15th. And then fall semester would be August 1st. And again, this is for traditional admissions, not advanced standing. Advanced standing for fall semester, the deadline is July 1st.
Yep. And we work on a rolling admission. So
Yeah.
sooner that you apply to the program, the sooner you can get a decision. So you can start applying, if you think that spring is too soon, you want to go for summer, you can start applying now for summer and hear back way before the deadline. So those are always options as well. And for the study 101, I believe there is a cost for that online website. I'm not sure what the cost is, but I believe there is. But the statistics course that we could provide is free. And again, no panelist interview for the regular program, advanced standing only.
So there's a question related to completion for the online advanced standing. So just to make sure that I think that everyone has this information. Um, for our traditional part-time online program, it takes 60 credit hours to complete over 10 semesters. For advanced standing, you are completing 33 credit hours over 6 semesters. And I talk about it in terms of semesters because different things happen. Sometimes it takes students a little bit longer than the specified time. So just know for advanced standing is 33 credits over 6 semesters. And again, with advanced standing, it's your coming in ready to start your specialization courses. So you're not taking all of those other generalist courses, with the exception of psychopathology. All advanced standing students, when they enter, have to take psychopathology. And any other questions?
I do have two on, what do we say? Yes, the applied statistics count.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did. I answered it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said that I believe that it would count as long as it's a statistics course.
I believe so as well.
Mhm. Any other questions? Um, it was a question asking, will the presentation be available?
Yes, there will be a recording of the presentation and then it will be updated on the website, once, they have the recording as well.
Okay. Any other
And
questions as we get ready to close out?
Professor Hensley put her information, so if anyone has practicum related questions, you can reach out to her. I'm gonna put my contact information. You can reach out to my own contact or our office line if you do have any questions regarding the application process. And again, as admissions advisors, we're here to help you.
There are a couple more questions in the chat. One is, can traditional students take more than 2 courses? Yes. There are options to take more than the 2 courses a semester. I do recommend students to maybe wait and see how their first semester goes before adding on additional courses, because sometimes the 8 weeks can go by really quickly, but there are opportunities. And yes, there is an accelerated option with the online program. And the accelerated option is 9 credits a semester, and it would be kind of the equivalent to a full-time. If students want to take more than the 9 credits or 3 classes a semester, that will require them to meet with me as the program director to discuss it before approving that. All right.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining. Great show of
Awesome.
students. And I know I see a couple of names that I work with personally. So, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Dr. King and Professor Hensley, for taking the time out of your night to join us. We really do appreciate it. And I know the students clearly appreciate it as well. A lot of questions.
Of course, they did. They asked really great questions.
Yeah.
So thank you all for your participation.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you all again, and I'll end the session tonight, but thanks so much.
All right. Have a good evening.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.